Estamos aquí con Damien, the Angel. Hi, Damien, how are you?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm good. You're gonna
Uh,
be in Mexico next month. How are you feeling?
we're very excited. It's been a long time since we've played in Mexico. I want to say it's almost been 10 years since we last played here.
Okay.
And so it's long overdue. I think we've all been ready to come back to Mexico and we're excited to come back.
And what's your favorite thing about playing in Mexico and Latin America, these crowds?
In Latin America and in Mexico in particular, the passion it's unparalleled. The passion from the metaleros and from Mexico in particular, it's incredible. And I feel like in Mexico and in Latin America, whereas I feel like it's still metal and is still growing in these parts of the world. I feel like more people are becoming attracted to metal or are being introduced to it for the first time. Whereas perhaps like in America, it's becoming like a niche. I feel like it's growing in Mexico and Latin America, which is great.
Are you familiar by any chance with the Latin American metal scene or Mexican metal scene?
I actually live in Mexico, so I'm a little familiar with what goes on in Mexico more so than the rest of Latin America. But I've lived in Mexico since about 2019, so I hear about some Mexico City is such a huge city. There's so much music, there's so much talent here in Mexico City. There's so many incredible people playing great music. But what I have noticed from the people that I've met in Mexico is that often they end up staying regional. It seems like it's difficult for musicians, regardless of how talented they are. I know The Warning has been getting some recognition, and they're starting to make a little bit of noise in the United States. But many Mexican musicians that I've met, as talented as they are, they don't seem to really break outside of Mexico, which is unfortunate because, like I said, there's so much talent here.
Yeah, the warning actually from Monterrey, from where we are interviewing
Right.
for from.
On our last tour, we ran into them in North Carolina. There's a venue and it had two different stages. So they played the other stage and we played one stage. So after our show, I went and checked them out. And at least their drummer checked us out because by the end of the night, she had a Death Angel shirt.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, an amazing crossover.
Yeah, totally. And those girls are talented. I like watching them play. They got good energy. They play well. Their sound is incredible.
Course. And you mentioned that you live in Mexico.
Hmm.
And how
Yep.
has that been?
Mexico's great. It's been a great change from the United States. And moving down to Mexico has given me the opportunity to focus more solely on music. In America, I mean, it could be the same here, but in America, the expenses, and in particular California, where Death Angel's from, the San Francisco Bay Area is a very expensive place. So moving to Mexico has allowed me to prioritize more focus on music versus trying to pay bills.
Of course. And
Yeah.
what can you tell us about Humanicide, your latest record? I mean, it's been a couple of years, but it's the latest record.
I know it's been the latest record, and honestly, it feels so long. It is so long ago. It came out in 2019. We're in 2024 now. All of us experienced the pandemic, and now I think that was unfortunate for all performing arts, all entertainment. Anybody who wasn't a pharmaceutical was struggling hard at that time. So, yeah, I kind of think of it like the Avengers movies. That it was like the blip. We had our own little Marvel blip, and 2 years just kind of disappeared. And now we're starting to recover. And it was really unfortunate because Death Angel had some good momentum coming from the Humanicide album. We did get an American Grammy nomination. We didn't win it, but just the acknowledgement of the nomination was something that wasn't even on our bucket list until we got nominated. And we're kind of like, oh, what? Like, who put us on that list? So we had some momentum going into it. We enjoyed the Grammys. The album was pretty well received. And so we had some momentum. The pandemic hit, and I feel like we kind of stumbled a little bit after that pandemic. So now we're getting back into the process. We've got quite a few songs written for the next album, and it's going to be our 10th album. So I think we're applying pressure to ourselves to try to deliver even better than before. So that's our intention, is that it's our 10th album. We feel like we got to put something on the line and go all in. But the Humanicide album was good. You've been touring for a while. We're ready for a new album. We're ready to get back out there with new material.
Of course, yeah, I was gonna ask you about the nomination. It was the first ever nomination for the Angel.
Yeah, it was. We with the announcement of the nomination for the Grammys happened while we were on tour. Death Angel oftentimes is in a supporting slot, which is a great spot because we get exposure to new fans. But oftentimes we're not the headlining the band; we're the support or even the opening. So I remember when we got this Grammy nomination for about a week, we held it pretty high to the other bands, the headlining bands. Oh, you might be headlining, but did you get a Grammy nomination? So for a minute there, it was a little feather in the cap, and we kind of like to throw our weight around for a minute. The experience was awesome. I think all our wives and girlfriends felt like they went to the most incredible homecoming prom that ever possible. But I think we're starting to look forward. You know, we're not much resting on our laurels of the past. We need to. It's a competitive market out there, and there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent in Mexico. There's a lot of talent in the metal scene. You know, and there's young guys who are hungry. And one of the things that we're trying to remember is that we still have something to prove, and that we are still hungry ourselves. We might be the we might be the old steer on the block, but we still have a lot to prove, and we still have things to say. So we're reminding ourselves to stay hungry.
Any advice that you have for these young bassists, these young musicians that also want to make it?
I think there's two routes. If you're under 21, yeah, let's say if you're under 25, you know, work hard, craft your songs, and maybe chase after that big major label record. Seems like if you're under 25, you have an opportunity where a record label could invest in you. Once you get kind of our age, around 30 or so, you have to have good material. Just the first and foremost, you know, the quality. I hate to use the term, but the product has to be good. I don't like to call music product, but let's get realistic. When you're talking about business, it's product. So your music has to really be genuine. It has to be good. You can't, you know, we can't sell pet rocks, you know, like it has to be like the real deal, you know. So first thing is musicians, they need to, you know, put in their time. And this day and age, it's really easy for musicians to not actually put in the time, but sound incredible. Pro Tools and digital audio workstations, it's really easy to appear a lot better of a musician than you are. And I think that shortcutting in the end, shortcutting means in the back end, you're going to have to pay up for it. So I still think there's an emphasis. You need to rehearse if you're a band, or you need to be practicing if you're an individual, and you need to learn your financial funnels, your YouTubes, your socials, getting your publishing squared away, getting your mechanical royalties and your sync royalties. If you know, those are all things that can allow musicians to have supplemental income, so that it doesn't end up just becoming, you know, a money wash. Like you need something to come in, and with that, when you get these little mechanicals and you get these sync royalties coming in, then you can reinvest it in yourself, you know? So I think learning that aspect, you know, if you ask record labels, they don't care how many people come to your shows, they care how many people are on your social media. And, you know, like it or not, that's just the trend that we're in. So I think if new bands could learn how to capitalize that on that stuff, and as much as they could do it themselves, they're going to get a better return rate. Major labels are always going to take a huge percentage of the money. They're going to charge interest on any money loan, and they're probably going to take up to 50% of your publishing, which is 50% of the money you would be making. So if young people could understand these things, none of us got into music because we want to do that stuff. But if you want to give yourself a better option, understanding those things and being able to do those yourself is going to give artists more upward mobility.
Of course. And what would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've learned?
It's that right there. Getting all that worked out. I mean, I'm terrible about social media. Sometimes I get some help with it, but I'm pretty bad about it because I'm an old guy at this point, you know. I wasn't raised with it. You know, it wasn't, when I was a kid, like music was kind of a way to get out of doing that type of administrative things. And now it's more full force than ever. And so if there's something to learn from it, it's get all that stuff squared away so that you could give yourself a fighting chance, because it's a competitive market. I mean, playing music is a great, if you can make it a living, it's an amazing life. You know, it's a privilege. So I think some people forget the privilege of being able to play music professionally. So it's a competitive market. So you need to have talent, but you need to have some brains too. This isn't the '70s where Eric Clapton just has a checkbook and he just writes checks and he has no idea what's in his bank account. And in this day and age, you need to be on top of that stuff, you know, if you want to give yourself a chance. Now, if you're younger and you sign to a major label, you know, a Sony or a Universal, you're kind of part of a big machine. But, you know, I'd say 95% of musicians are not going to be able to go that route, you know? And so it means trying to understand how to capitalize on the business yourself, so that you don't have to rely or be taken advantage of by attorneys or by contracts or by record labels or by distributions or by publishing companies. You do have to educate yourself to some degree if you want to have something to show for yourself at the end of the day. If you're just in this for the experience, you just want to tour for the rest of your life and hopefully die on stage, yeah, you don't have to know anything. But if you plan to, kind of not burn out, you need to know a little bit more.
Of course, and also like you were saying, the importance of social media lately.
You can't downplay how important that is. I think if there's anything that's really affecting a lot of bands from their upward mobility, it's the amount of content that needs to be posted. And like I said, when I got into music, it was kind of like a cheat code. I was like, ooh, if I could play music and maybe be in a band, I don't really have to learn accounting. I don't have to be a businessman. I don't have to take videos of myself. I don't have to market myself, because you think when I was younger, you thought when you're in a band, the machine does that, the industry machine. But now a lot of it is, yes, we need to do that ourselves. We need to create our own content. We need to engage with our audiences and our fans and create more intimate interactions with these people so they feel like they're growing and a part of the experience. And that can't be downplayed. That's probably, like I said, at this point, record labels really are only looking at socials. And, the festivals or how many people show up to your shows kind of matters less. The socials are really indicative of today's trends. Maybe they'll change in 10 years, but today's trend here and today, the numbers are indicated by our social media.
Of course. And what can we expect from Dead Angel in the future? You were telling me that you are planning the stuff for the next album and all that.
Yeah, we are currently in the writing process right now. I want to say we're probably we're like 6 or 7 songs in, and gosh, I shouldn't say too much about the album, because so much, as I've found from the 4 albums I've done with Death Angel, from when you first get the first riffs or the first demo tapes to when it's done, so much changes. Art changes, direction changes, lyrics changes, structure changes. So ambitiously, we'd love to go the Led Zeppelin route and have like a physical graffiti double album. We're not sure if we'll be able to, if we're gonna have enough material, because it's got to be good material. We can't just stuff 2 albums full of riffs. It's got to be good material. So in the event that we don't get 2 albums, a double album done, then we hope to really just come through with 10 really strong songs on a new album. Can't really say when the release is. We're not in the recording studio yet. Knowing the way the industry works, I can't imagine this album getting out in 2024, which means probably and hopefully an early release of 2025 is what I would hope for, in the first quarter of, somewhere around March, April of 2025. Hopefully a new album is dropping. We're engaging in a new touring cycle. We're ramping up and trying to hit, all the markets again, hopefully Southeast Asia, Europe. It'd be great if the opportunity to come back to South America or Latin America. But I know once we have a new album out, the idea is to try to support it as much as we can.
Of course. And now you're heading here to Mexico.
Yeah.
Any message for the fans that are waiting for you here in Monterrey?
We're definitely looking forward to coming back. I know Monterrey, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to see friends, and I know we won't be disappointed by the energy of the audience. Like I said, Mexico has some of the most incredible audiences, and in particular for metal and hard rock, I know the passion is there. We hope to bring our best. We hope that we all have a great time together, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carmen.